Sorry about the delay here, guys. I've been kind of busy trying to track down this ATF hack thing. I do believe that they were hacked, but I don't know what they got. But it just shows you the danger of them keeping registries and stuff. Still digging into it, so I'm not ready to go.
Postal?
I'm not ready to list exactly what they have because I don't know what they have yet. I did look on the back end a little bit on the dark web. I got Quillen on the ATF hack, and I don't have anything. But we're not here to talk about that right now. We are here to talk about the CDC re-adding the data to the defensive use data to the CDC website. We're going to talk a little bit about why it was removed, how it was removed, and everything else for that. But first, my name is John Crump. I'm an investigative journalist. This is Flying Rich. He hangs out with me and flies planes and stuff like that. And today we're going to be talking about the CDC. Okay, basically, for years, the CDC listed defensive gun uses on their websites. They used a Cluck study, which claimed 2.5 million defensive gun users a year. The low end is 60,000, which is interesting numbers because even if you use the low end, it is still more than guns used in crimes every year. So defensive gun uses are definitely above. That was on the CDC website up until 2022. In 2022, due to pressure from the Biden administration, the CDC quietly removed that because there was a few different gun groups that lobbied, and we know this thanks to a FOIA request by the Reload, that lobbied to remove the data from there. And I'm going to read you Mark Bryant, who was the executive director of the Gun Violence Archives, who was one of the most avid people of removing this data from the CDC website. Back then, he said that the 2.5 million number needs to be killed, buried, dug up again, killed again, and buried again. Basically, he said that it was undermining the call for gun control, and they didn't like it. So at the time, the associate director of policy partnerships and strategic communications for the CDC's Division of Violence Prevention, Beth Remmels, wrote him back and said, "We are planning to update the fact sheet in early 2022 and release some new data. We will also make some edits on the content as we discuss that I think will address the concerns you and other partners have raised." So basically, these anti-gun groups are saying that this data could be used to undermine gun control, and so we need it off. So the CDC under Biden quietly removed the data on defensive gun uses. Basically, only left data on gun uses used in crime.
So the problem with this is you know somebody's a D bag when they want to hide evidence.
Especially when they're the trust the science, trust the data. So
Unless
they
Fauci's
removed the
telling you.
data. Yeah, they removed the data. That Fauci said, "I am the science," but they removed the data because it undermined their push for gun control in the CDC under Biden. Instead of saying we can't move the data because that's what the data shows, they said, "You're right. It does prevent our political
And
goals. So let's go ahead and remove it."
and the next problem that I have with this data and the argument of gun crime deaths versus defensive uses of firearms is not all defensive uses of firearms are reported, but certainly all gun deaths are reported.
That is correct.
And so the number could be multiple times larger. I mean, several 100% larger than what is actually reported.
Yep, and I actually had to use my gun. Yeah, I did have to shoot it, but I did have to pull it one time. That was an interesting situation with my son, and some a group of deviants decided that they were gonna surround me. It was with my son, so I put him in the car. I was like, "Hey, I don't want any trouble. Don't want any trouble." And they did beat up somebody else earlier on.
Ooh.
And they were gonna come. They said some derogatory things, and they started coming towards me. There was more than them. I said, "All right, game on." And it didn't have to shoot because they all scattered, and that's a defensive gun use.
And did you report it?
I did, because I didn't want to get, you know, someone saw me pull out a gun. Figured it'd be safer that way.
Right, right. And of course, but again, there's situations. I remember watching Nut and Fancy, and he was talking about a situation similar to what you described, where he just pulled it out of his front mounted fanny pack, and the situation dissipated, and he didn't report it, if I recall correctly. Uh, so yeah, the other thing about this that I have an issue with is if somebody is disabled, a woman, and I'm not saying women are disabled, so don't put that in my mouth, but if you have numerically stronger or a quantity of a higher number of people coming at you, look, you could be on crutches because you broke your leg or broke an arm, and a firearm equalizes you and gives you an advantage that you wouldn't normally have. And so if you're pro woman, pro disabled, pro elderly, pro anybody that is even temporarily disabled, a firearm, is a great savior to you. And it's amazing to me that the Democrats, the gun grabbers, want to take these things away, and they always talk about the weakest among us. Well, this is what protects the weakest among us.
That is correct. It does. It does. Uh, you know, but I think it's good that the CDC is putting this back, and there is a ticks and bangs today, but the anti-gunners are absolutely losing their minds.
Facts don't care about your feelings.
That is exactly right. So the anti-gunners are losing their minds, and they're pushing. They're writing all these hit articles talking about how the numbers can't be confirmed, and so they shouldn't use them.
Hmm. Ooh. How about you just tell the truth? It makes us look bad.
That's exactly what they're doing. I mean, you're exactly right on that, right?
I mean, there was never a case where a woman was home alone and somebody was pounding on her door, and she shot the guy. I mean, that would be a really crazy story to tell. And
Yeah, it is. It
and
would be.
that was John's mom.
Yeah. Yeah, that was my mom. My mom did have to shoot someone before.
It, it's it's just so mind-boggling to me. I want my wife to be protected. I want my daughter to be protected. I want them to have every advantage in a situation that could hurt them. And I mean, they don't EDC. I'm a little disappointed about that, but that's why I carry. That's I carry because I love my family and I want the ability to protect them in all circumstances.
Yep, exactly. But yeah, I mean, it's just really good that they are returning the data to there because it gives a full picture.
And here's Fat Gray Man, and thank you for watching and commenting. My wife used to live in a bad part of Tampa. She often displayed a firearm and got the response, "I don't want no nothing."
Exactly. Exactly. So I think this is a win for gun owners, and it further undermines calls for gun control. What I think is funny is they're always saying, "Oh, this has all been disputed." You mean the Cluck study, which you're saying has been debunked, but it hasn't been debunked in the FBI statistics, and it hasn't. So, and when you're like, what's your evidence to show that this data is wrong? And they don't have any.
Right. Correct. And the very likelihood that it's 2, 3, 4, 500 times higher that firearms are used to prevent crime or to prevent an assault and it's unreported is very likely. We're talking about the floor, the base, the minimum number that's out there that's reported. We're not talking about every instance.
Exactly. Exactly.
Now, Crumpy, are you multitasking and you're trying to
I,
figure
I
out
am.
what's
I
going
am.
on
But
with the ATF?
we're gonna give this up. We're gonna like end this like in a minute because I am working on a bigger story, which some of you already know what is going on because we talked about it at the very, very beginning. I'm trying to figure out what exactly they got by looking through some dark web stuff. So I got my Tor fired up over here.
Yeah, I was part of, because I have a UPIN, which is a unique personal identifying number. So when I do a 4473, they know that I am different from all of the other Richard Hugheses out there that are bad guys. When the Chinese data breach happened with the FBI and DOJ, my information was part of that. So thank you, government, for securing info.
Yep, exactly. But yeah, we're gonna get out of here. Uh, I'm going to do some more research, and hopefully, I'll have something soon. Right now, all we know is that they were hacked, and that's all we know. I'll probably go live here not too long from now, and we'll go over that as well. But I just need to do a little bit more research. All right. So with that, we are out of here. Thank you so much, and see you guys later. F
ATF.
ATF happened Quillen, which is a Russian hacking group. All right.